Hey, number 6 in GymBed Explorations Month. This is a great stretch, the figure 4 stretch, as a follow-up if you do the bridge variations from the number 5 prior post. So this one has been tagged as a flexibility drill, so we could hold it for about 30 seconds, and then I'll have a little spiel on flexibility itself afterwards. So the first part is showing you, now this is one where you could go ahead and use a pillow for comfort, or you could go without the pillow. Now the figure 4 stretch could be done in standing up, using a chair, using a bench, just or sitting up in a chair. They're all great, but the benefit when you're doing it in your position of being on the floor or laying down on the bed is that you get to reinforce that same idea that I keep talking about pressing your belly to the spine and closing this gap in the lower back. Okay, so in this case, the reason why that occurs is that when we cross our leg over onto the thigh in this figure 4 shape, we have the ability, it might be actually best to show you upside down. Okay, so when we have this figure 4 position, the weight that we're locked into, this weight pressing down on the bent leg, is going to help reinforce with that pressure, pressing that lower back down to the floor or to the bed. So it's a good time to reconnect with that sensation of also pressing your abs to the spine. All right, now for protection, I would say flex the foot. Okay, so here's point, here's flex, keep the toe flexed to protect this knee. And then one level is to where you're going to take the space between your thighs, thread your one arm through, meet the hand on the other side, and grasp behind the thigh. So bringing the thigh closer to you and the foot closer to you, and you'll feel the stretch in this case on the bent legs hip, okay, or the figure 4 hip. So in my situation, it'll be my left hip. The other level of progression would be to where you grasp the shin. So you would if you need to come up a little bit in order to reach, remember to press your ab to the floor as you do so. So grasp your hands on top of your shin and pull the knee forward. Keep that toe flexed, okay? And you will feel that stretch go down your thighs and deepen a little bit around the hips, okay? And of course, switch to the other side. So just run through it one more time. Cross the other leg over the top of your thigh, flex that foot, thread your figure 4 arm through the space between your thigh, clasp your hands behind your thigh and pull that thigh forward. Keep your lower abs pressed to the bed towards the spine. And then keeping that ab engagement, come up and grasp the shin or towards the bottom of the knee and pull for a more intense stretch. And you could have your head down, or you could bring it up for a little bit more ab engagement. Okay, this is a flexibility drill that you could do for a longer hold, 30 seconds. Plus, if you can, and don't forget that you need to be able to breathe normally to deeply, okay? So anytime you lose the ability to breathe normally through a stretch hold, you've taken that stretch too far for your current level. All right, here's my spiel on flexibility. I'm super inflexible right now because I kind of pretty much stopped working on flexibility, period. And even though it is definitely a wish, a desire of mine to be more flexible, here's the thing. A lot of people tend to lament the fact that they're inflexible. I am so inflexible, you know. And yes, there's a base level of flexibility. You know, that's some degrees of flexibility that are part of your, you know, a foundation assessment for what you should be able to do. But most people, the issue is not flexibility, it's mobility. Okay, this is the order of importance anyway. It's mobility, then strength, then stability, then flexibility. Now, flexibility actually ties into strength and ties into all of the above. But often, if you have an issue, unless it's specifically tied to a tight or inflexible muscle as a part of that issue, you're better off focusing more on mobility and strength, and then strength, and then stability, and then working in the flexibility when you can. So there's a lot of drills, there's a lot of exercises, there's a lot of activities, boom, yoga, right, that actually incorporate the flexibility portion as part of the moves. You know, great. But don't worry that you feel inflexible, all right, because that flexibility will kind of start to take care of itself, and you don't have to worry about being inflexible unless and until it is identified that a specific muscle is a cause for a mobility issue or a strength issue. Okay, definitely could be the case, but don't be like overall stressing about being inflexible when you should be focused more on mobility, strength, stability, and then flexibility, you know, as your bonus, and really simply a luxury. I mean, not everybody needs to be able to do the splits or any, you know, a bendy, super bendy stuff. So, you know, if that's a special interest of yours, I'll tell you right now, it's not just about stretching the muscles, it's neuromuscular connection. So strength is going to be, you cannot skip over strength and mobility in order to become more flexible. Okay, so that's my spiel on flexibility. Don't worry so much about it, we'll work on it whenever we can. And this one I am tagging as something that you can, you know, file under flexibility, and it feels really good too. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more thing. So a lot of times when we do a stretch, you think it's so good for you because it feels so good. And while I use the cue for I use the cue of feel good for the mobility drills, and while it's great to do something that feels good, don't use that feel good cue for flexibility as a as your aha, like, oh, this was the problem. Okay, because when it comes to the feel good of the flexibility, the relief you get will be temporary and temporary only, unless and if your issue is really with mobility and strength. Okay, I hope that makes sense.